the private investigator observes its suspect and finds if anything is dirty about them. So how can we use the PI? Basically, first let's do a little bit of setup, because we can define a folder where externalized components will be saved. We can then also define if we want to have an additional JSON output of our component. So it's a JSON representation, which can be used for Gitting and stuff like this. And also we have an emergency save option, which will save all dirty components if they are when you close the project. So this one is a mixed bag. I would leave it off probably, but it's good to have. Okay, so how can we now add a suspect to our private investigator? We open our component window here, and it is as simple as dragging and dropping the component into the project. So what exactly happens here? For one, you see that it is now shown in our table here. And when we take a look, we also got some new parameters, and they are under the tab version control. So if you use the OLIP already, they might seem familiar to you. So we have the name, which is like a unique identifier to identify the type of the component. So if you use it more than once in your project, it's a good idea to use this. Then we have the author, and this is the last person who saved the component in an externalized way, so saved it as a tox. Then we have the version, which is something you as yourself set. So if you build a new component or new version, like main version, where you start from scratch, for example, you can then simply set the version to a new number to signify a change. We have a save timestamp. This is just an possibility to compare different versions if they, for example, have the same build number. And we have the save origin. So every time we save it and externalize it, we know from which TOW file, from which project it came, and also we know in which TouchDesigner version the whole component will get externalized or got externalized. We can change the name here by simply double clicking on the name in the console. So we call this one test project. So now it is called test project. And we might now also want to make changes to the component. So because we not always know where it now is and have to go there, we can simply double click on the path of any suspect and it will open a new window. So let's put in a movie file in here. Let's get a banana running. Let's put in a null. Let's close the window. And what you can now see is that our tape recorder, I can change to this yellow exclamation mark button. So this now means the private investigator has found dirt on our suspect. So we have changes inside of the container that are different to the one already on our space disk drive, or on our local drive. So what can we do? We have here now two possibilities. We have the save button, which is here, and we have the reload button. So reloading will simply reload the component from the drive. So for example, if you work with someone else who updated this component, you can simply reload the component and it will run just fine. And the save button will now externalize the component. So let's do that. Press here once. See, the button changed back to the tape recorder, so we are listening and finding dirt on this component. And as you can see, the build number increased, the save timestamp also increased. And if we take a look at this folder here, you can now see the container1 tox, which is here. And also there is the container1 JSON, which is like a very detailed JSON representation of the component, including all the parameters, children, network editor info, family type. So it's easy to know what changed on projects. We can delete this. If we no longer want a component to be a suspect, we can go to the tags section and we can simply remove the PI suspect component. So now it shows up here and we can simply drop it in and it will be a suspect again. Keep in mind when doing this that it will delete or save it as an external tox and override anything that might have been there before. Another thing to look out for is under the comment page that it is set to reload on start. So if you have unsaved changes in your tox file and you don't save them, then they will be lost on the next start. So you can set this here on a base-to-base as you wish. And also here we have some buttons. We have the reload all and save all dirty. So let's, for example, build set our container1 here to display our banana. And now we save this. Okay. And now we might have to set. Oh yeah, that's definitely one thing, is that changing parameters does not trigger the so changing parameters in the top level does not trigger the dirty mark. So yeah, there's that. Okay, so now we save the whole component here. It's set here, and now let's copy all of this for a little bit. And let's go back into container1 and change this one to a to the jelly beans, just as an example. So and we save it, and now we can take the container1 here and hit the reload button, and as you just saw, it adjusted to the new settings. And also if we hit reload all, they now all have the specific value. And yeah, that's the private investigator. Enjoy using it.